Yeah, so these whales that feed off our coast here in Oregon are what we call Pacific Coast Feeding Group gray whales, so PCFG. And there's about 220 of them, but they're a very small part of the bigger gray whale population in the whole North Pacific. That most of those whales all go up to the Arctic to feed instead of feeding here in the Pacific Northwest, including off our Oregon coast. And through our drone work, we found some really interesting differences in the size of these two groups of animals. So, for instance, we found that these PCFG gray whales here are skinnier than those ENP whales, and they're also shorter. So they have smaller heads and shorter bodies than those whales that go all the way up to the Arctic. And that's through some of our drone work where we fly drones over the whales and then we take pictures and can measure the whales through photogrammetry. So the questions now are, why are these animals skinnier and shorter that feed in our Oregon waters? And we don't know the full answer yet, but we're working on it. We have some hypotheses. We've also found that these gray whales, these PCFG gray whales that feed here in Oregon, have actually been getting smaller. So since about the year 2000, the maximum length that these gray whales reach has declined by about 1.5 meters. And that's a huge amount for these whales. And that has consequences to the whales because then they can't store as much energy in their body. So the reason whales are so big is because they have this big blubber mass that's able to be their energy reserve that supports all their movement and breeding and having calves and so forth. So if they're smaller, they don't have as much energy reserve. So we're concerned that maybe that influences, their ability to survive injuries and have calves.